A very warm welcome to the StepOver webinar series in summer 2022. My name is Joachim Fischer, and together with my colleague Julian Benz, I'll appreciate that you spend the next 30 minutes with us. Julian will talk about a technical topic, but will make it very understandable the benefits of integrating an electronic signature API into your workflow. Sounds complicated, it's not. So at the end of that session, we will have 5 minutes to answer your questions. Please type them in the Q&A button at the bottom of that Zoom session. If we have more questions than we can answer, we simply answer them via email to you directly. And I'm sure our marketing department will do a follow-up email with that session recorded in YouTube and send you the PowerPoint presentation. StepOver is a pioneer in the electronic digital signature space. We're doing that more than 20 years now. And we started as a small hardware company out of Stuttgart, Germany, producing signature pads. And despite of other companies, we started with big customers and big projects, with getting thousands of field reps signature pads in their hands. That small hardware company grew to an international business today, and we are covering all aspects of the electronic digital signature. Signing on the hardware pad on your smartphone, on a local software, or cloud-based online or offline. Still today, everything we offer is designed and made in Stuttgart, Germany. On our website, you find a lot of big and small projects from customers all over the world. Mobile use connected to a laptop, point of sales in banks and retail stores and rental car counters, video sales examples, and maintenance people signing off their work on tablets on and offline. You'll find big logos on our small website and also small ones. If you're interested, do not hesitate. Please get in contact with us. Send us a note. We're happy to help with our 20 years of experience. With that said, I hand over to my colleague, Julian. Julian, it's all your turn.
Thank you, Joachim. A very warm welcome from me as well. My name is Julian Benz. I'm responsible here at StepOver for overseeing our partner and reseller network worldwide, and I help our international customers implement our e-signature solutions. So if you like what you hear today, you're going to likely see my face again when I help you implement the API into your workflow. Let's have a look at what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with the all-important question, what actually are electronic signatures? Then we're going to go on to see how can we sign documents electronically. We're then going to discuss how an API works and what an API actually is. And then we're going to look at the benefits of optimizing your workflow and what you can expect from implementing electronic signatures into your business. For your project planning department, the next question will be very relevant. What implementation timeline are we looking at? And then finally, we're going to have a summary and the Q&A session already announced by Joachim. So please feel free to ask your questions. Our team will be able to help. Let's discuss what electronic signatures are. Electronic signatures are a digital equivalent of your traditional handwritten ink signature. However, not all electronic signatures are created equal. There are 3 types of electronic signatures under EIDAS, which is the EU law regulating them, as well as their equivalents worldwide. Those 3 types of signatures are the simple electronic signature, the advanced electronic signature, and finally, the qualified electronic signature. The type of signature required depends on the type of document that you'd like to sign. For example, the advanced electronic signature is the industry standard because it is not as complicated as a QES and much more secure than a simple electronic signature, which is simply just a picture of a signature itself. The advanced electronic signature can be used for around 95% of your documents, obviously depending on your local jurisdiction, so have a chat with your legal department to make sure. The qualified electronic signature is only used in where it's really legally necessary to do so, as it requires an internal identification of the signatory which means it is more expensive and more time intensive. And it also requires an internet connection to an external server. So today we're going to look at our native API, which is a completely offline solution. If you wanted to implement a qualified electronic signature, you would need to add an online component, as in your server being able to talk to an external server into your system as well. What kind of documents can you sign with an advanced electronic signature? The typical documents that you're going to come across are, for example, your employee onboarding. You can sign internal approval with it, general contracts, training things. You can sign board meeting minutes with it, and such things such as non-disclosure agreements, T's and C's, or even delivery orders. However, there are exceptions to what you can sign with advanced electronic signatures. And for most countries, that is within family law and within specific property transactions. So a lot of countries restrict the use of electronic signatures from wills, from deeds. Instead, you still need to have an ink-based signature. So if your business operates in that kind of environment, please just make sure that you get solid legal advice on what you can exactly sign with it and what you can't. Also, if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to our team. We likely have had a similar circumstance in the country that you operate in, so we should be able to give you a guidance of what other companies have done. How can you actually sign electronically? And it's going to be no surprise to you that the answer is going to be with signature devices. But let's go a bit more into detail of what that actually means. Of course, you can sign with our StepOver signature pads. And here you see our current range of signature pads on the left-hand side, the mobile versions that are lighter and easier to carry around. And on the right-hand side, you see our color displays that can display the entire page that you want to sign the contract. You can sign on all kinds of tablet PCs. As long as they've got the touch screen, you can sign with it, whether that's with your finger or with a stylus pen. And of course, you can use our StepOver capture apps. It's a free app for both Android and iOS. It only needs to be in the same network as the device that's issuing the signature request, and then you can use those as signature devices and simply sign on the screen. So let's have a look at what an API actually is. An API is an application programming interface, which is basically a software intermediary that allows two applications to talk to each other, even if they're written in different programming languages. So, for example, your application is here and our process is here. And in the middle, we have our API enabling the two to communicate with each other. Our signature process is comprised of two parts: the handling of the signature device and the handling of the PDF document. So imagine you're given a manual, in technical terms, that's called a library, which includes different commands. And if you tell your application to issue the chosen demand, the API will know exactly what to do without any need on your side to program the function. Hence, you can extend your existing application with new features while it appears from the outside that your application is executing them. All you need to tell your system is which PDF do you want to have signed, where do you want to place the signature, and who should sign. Placing the signature field can be done either by searching for keywords, for example, signature customer and signature employee, or by instructing the system to place a signature field in a specific location on the page. And once all mandatory fields are signed, the signature API returns the encrypted signed PDF to your system. You can even ask it to rename the document based on information contained in it, or add the date and time to the document title, obviously, when it was signed. As I just mentioned, our signature process has got two components: the handling of the signature device and the handling of the PDF document. And these two API components take part of it. The device API is the direct interface for communication with all of our StepOver signature pads, hence handling the devices. The device API offers you all functions required to access the signature acquisition devices. It records the signature and it controls the signature pad display. So if you want to display certain things on a document, the device API takes care of that bit. The signature API, on the other hand, takes care of encrypting the biometric signature from the device API and embeds it into the PDF document, creating a hash sum of all of the information contained to prevent manipulation. But of course, we provide you with our entire software development kit, which consists of the signature API, the device API, all of the libraries for the different programming languages, and a concise and clear documentation for your integrators to ensure that they understand all the different processes that they can integrate and extend your application by. And the device API supports locally connected signature pads on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux systems, but also supports remote connected pad communication via TCP/IP, MS terminal servers, as well as Citrix. Let's have a look at the setup of our API. We designed it to have multi-platform support, different operating systems, as well as being accessible from multiple programming languages. So the core of our API is a .NET application and is written in C#. You can use that directly if you either use .NET 5 or if you use .NET Framework 4.8. You can directly integrate it into your application. However, let's assume your application is not written in C#. For that scenario, we have designed a wrapper structure. So the first wrapper is our native wrapper. That is if your application is written in Delphi, in C, and C++, and it enables your application to talk directly to our .NET application. A lot of applications are written in Java. So all you need to do is you're going to select a Java wrapper, which talks to the native wrapper and in turn talks to the .NET. Hence, it is very straightforward. Irrespective of which programming language you use, we're likely to have you covered. And then finally, we have a Java-based PDF service, which is used to render the PDFs to display it on the signature pad. And that's very important because the unencrypted document and biometric signature are never on the same device for security reasons. And hence, the PDF never leaves the application. Only a rendering of the PDF, hence a picture of the PDF, is displayed on the signature pad. With that Java-based PDF service, there's no need for your developers to integrate it. It's already done by our signature API. They simply need to install that component, hence why we're naming it here. What are the benefits of optimizing your workflow? Electronic signatures enable a completely digital workflow without a requirement for break-in media, i.e. switching from digital into the analog realm and back into digital. It looks a bit like this. You either generate a document or you receive a document. And then the first step you're going to do is you identify who is going to sign it. But currently, your workflow will foresee that you need to print the document, you need to sign the document, and then you need to scan the document. And only then the document is uploaded back into a digital realm. However, you need to be aware that scanned documents are very difficult to process, even with an optical character recognition. So for example, if you wanted to search a document for certain keywords afterwards to find a part of a contract later, it might be difficult. And lastly, you're going to archive the document or further process it. With electronic signatures, you can cut the analog realm completely out of it, and you go straight from identifying the signatory to the electronic signatures to processing the document. And that has several benefits for you. For example, you will drastically decrease the idle labor time. There's no more waiting for printers, no more scanning of documents, and no filing of paperwork, which I'm sure your employees will be very happy about. You're also going to reduce your resource costs. You no longer need to pay for paper or toner costs. There are no mailing costs of contracts involved. And you don't need to sustain a physical archive, which can be a very costly factor, especially if documents need to be kept for 25 to 35 years, depending on the sensitivity of them and the regulations within your country. You're going to improve your contract completion time. So it's a much quicker customer turnover. Imagine you've got a long line waiting at a teller to be served. If you can speed up that process, you can turn those customers over quicker and you can be more efficient processing more customers in the same time. Very important for your business as well, you will lower your carbon footprint. And the biggest return on investment that a lot of people don't think about is the elimination of mistakes. It costs a lot of time and a lot of person power to be able to eliminate a mistake, first to find it and then to rectify it if it has been made, especially if that has been a couple of weeks ago and has only been discovered later. With integrating our API into your workflow, there can no longer be any filing errors because it's an automated process. You can automatically validate the signatures. So for example, if you have a contract that requires 3 signatures, our system won't accept that document to be returned back to your system unless all 3 signatures are signed. Before then, your employee had to check every single page whether it had been signed and whether everything has been in order. All of that falls away. And of course, you can automatically process the information that is inside of the form fields. So for example, if you get a document from externally, you can afterwards process that information straight from the form fields that has been filled in automatically by a system and then update your records, for example, of the customer. But what kind of implementation timeline are we looking at? The short answer is the majority of our customers are ready to sign within 1 to 4 weeks. That is from starting the implementation to the first customer signing a contract. However, it greatly depends on the depth of integration and the complexity of your workflows. So obviously, if you have a very shallow integration and only 1 or 2 workflows you want to cover, it's going to be much quicker than if you want to digitize your entire business use cases. It is definitely possible, but it might take us a bit longer than 4 weeks. And to reiterate, our signature API and the entire native software development kit solution works for Windows, macOS, and Linux. And you can also use it with TCP/IP, with MS terminal servers as well, your Citrix environment. So the solution works for all of them. In summary, what are electronic signatures? It is basically the digital equivalent to the traditional ink-based signature. And advanced electronic signatures enable you to sign the vast majority of your documents. So you'll be in good hands being able to digitally transform pretty much most of your workflows and pretty much all of your documents that you have as a business. How can you sign electronically? Of course, with our signature pads, but also all kinds of tablet PCs and our dedicated Android and iOS apps on Android and iOS devices, as long as they're in the same network. How does an electronic signature API work? Basically, it acts as an interpreter between your application and our signature features. So it communicates and executes a command issued by your application to sign electronically. The benefits of optimizing a workflow are the significant reduction in time and cost, which leads to a very fast return on investment on your side. And as we just discussed, the implementation timeline is likely to be 1 to 4 weeks. Of course, it depends on your depth of the integration and the workflows. If you've got more specific questions, if you want to discuss your workflows with us in detail, please do not hesitate to reach out. Our consultants are able to give you advice on how long they think it might take, depending on your IT infrastructure and our previous experience with other customers. If it has sparked your interest, what you heard today, and you would like to have a closer look at our electronic signature API, please feel free to click the link below where you will be able to get a free demo version of our signature API. It has exactly the same features as our licensed version. The only difference is that it's got watermarks in it. So, for example, hand that to your developer and they can take a look and see how they could integrate it into your existing application. Of course, if you want to have a closer look at our signature pads and our other signature solutions, please feel free to go to our website at www.stepover.com, or if you want to speak directly to our team and speak with one of our sales consultants to discuss your workflow, your use cases, and what solution might best fit your needs, simply email our team at info@stepover.com. With that, I give back to Joachim for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, very much for making that technical topic so understandable. I have 3 questions here. First question, can I use different types of pads for different scenarios?
Of course, you can use a combination of our signature pads, or you can even use a hybrid solution consisting of some pads and some tablet PCs and some mobile devices. All of it works.
Okay. How can I configure a workflow to include electronic signatures?
So basically, you need to tell your application and to tell our API where to find the PDF, who should sign it, and where they should sign. And then you can make signature fields optional or mandatory. After the signature is placed, you can tell our API whether to rename the document and where it should save it for further processing of your application.
Okay. Last question for today. How does the license model work? And do we have software maintenance available? How does that work?
Yes, so each workstation is licensed perpetually, and we provide software maintenance that includes integration support, third-level support, and free updates and upgrades of our software to provide our customers with the latest released features.
Perfect. So thanks, Julian, for today. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And as I said before, please do not hesitate. Just drop us an email, send us a note, call us. We are happy to help to implement the electronic signature solutions for your workflow, for your company. Have a great summer. Thanks, everybody, and see you at the next webinar of StepOver. Thanks, Julian, again.
Thank you.